For those of you who are brand new, welcome to We Can Still Dream. We started this back in April as a response to the lockdown. We were hoping that would get us through for a while. Obviously, we're still doing all of this. So but by popular demand, everyone wanted to keep meeting on a Tuesday evening, talking about different places around the world, whether they're simply something a far off daydream that may be one day bucket list or something that's reality for you. So we try and do a different topic every evening. This evening, what we are doing is we're talking about the Seychelles. And we have Sonia here from Africa Tour. Sonia is our go-to Africa partner. She is absolutely amazing. We have been working with Sonia for many, many years. Custom itineraries, all kind of ranges of budget, accommodation. She knows the continent inside and out. So if you are looking to go anywhere in Africa, chances are that Sonia is behind it. And she brought my dream come true a couple of years ago for Tanzania. It was absolutely fantastic. But this evening is kind of a new destination for us to talk about. I'm very excited. It is one of those bucket list destinations, and it's absolutely gorgeous and extremely wild. So I am going to hand you over to Sonia. And by the way, everyone, please give her kind of a round of applause in your home, because poor old Sonia got out of bed. It's 2 a.m. where she is, and interrupted her sleep and just grabbed a cup of coffee just so she could be here live with us this evening. So welcome, Sonia.
Awesome. Thank you, Cheryl, for the opportunity once again. And yeah, quite excited to be representing the outer islands of the Seychelles for you tonight. Your time, and as you heard, it's 2 a.m. here. So yeah, Kerry, are you ready to play that video for us?
Yep, I'm getting it up there. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Otherwise, I can continue, and we can do it at the end if it suits you.
All right, can you see this?
Perfect.
Yeah? Okay, here we go.
In the heart of the Indian Ocean, 1,000 miles from the coast of Africa, lie the outer islands of the Seychelles. Formed by ancient volcanoes that rose from the ocean floor, these coral-covered atolls are an oasis for life in the vast blue sea. The waters are warm and crystal clear, the beaches are pristine and endless, and the underwater world parades in unparalleled abundance. Immerse yourself in the ultimate oceanic wilderness.
And I will sail away with you, put the clocks on hold for you, an ocean far away for you, skin of gold and eyes of blue. Take my hand, kiss the breeze, watch the wind dance with the sea. Let the sound be your guide, feel the light, enjoy the ride.
Blue Safari offers access to these secluded islands of the Seychelles, whilst passionately conserving these untouched Edens for future generations. Explore the unexplored, relax in the finest island comfort, indulge in exquisite Creole-inspired cuisine, marvel at the world around you, and create unforgettable memories.
You can set your spirit free. You can live the life you need.
this island paradise. Experience life-changing encounters guided by expert teams and discover a newfound wonder for this flawlessly balanced biome. Lose yourself in a world without time. Blue Safari. Experiences are our luxury.
Awesome. Thank you, Kerry, for that. That video was a little bit pixelated and wasn't very, very clear. But Cheryl, you've got it on Dropbox. If anybody wants a copy of it, they can just download it. For some reason, I'm not sure why it was so pixelated. Okay, so we're going to start talking about the outer islands of the Seychelles. Kerry, is my screen up?
Not yet. You need to hit that screen share button.
Hold on one second for me. I'm sure I did. Share screen.
Yep, there you go.
Got it? There you go. It's up on my side. Is it showing your side?
Yep, you're all set.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right. We're going to be talking about the outer islands of the Seychelles. And I think most people have heard of the Seychelles. You've heard of the inner islands of the Seychelles, but the outer islands are kind of still very new, especially to divers and that. Fly fishing guys are very familiar with the outer islands of the Seychelles, but for divers, this is very much a new destination as such. So just to orientate all of you, obviously flying into Africa from the US, there's a couple of airlines that fly directly into the Seychelles via either Dubai with Emirates, Turkish Airways, South African Airways, Kenya Airways, and even Air Seychelles fly via Europe as well. And obviously there is also a couple of your European airlines like Air France and that flies directly into the Seychelles. So just to orientate all of you, if you have a look here, you obviously, where's my cursor? You can either fly into South Africa and fly into Johannesburg, or as I said, you then either fly in via Europe or via Dubai, and flying directly into the main island of the Seychelles, which is called Mahe. If you have a look on the right-hand side of the screen here, if you have a look, this is the main island of Mahe then. Sorry, this picture is just taking that little red dot and enlarging the bigger picture of it. So on the right-hand side, you've got Mahe, which is the main island that you need to fly in. From Mahe, we then take a 60-minute flight out to the first island that I'm going to be covering, which is called the Alphonse Island. Alphonse is approximately 400 kilometers away from Mahe. So that is about an hour flight. Then the second island I'm going to be talking about is the island of Stove, which is right sort of on the outskirts of the Seychelles Islands. Stove from Mahe is over 1,000 kilometers. So that there is another hour and 20-minute flight. Sorry, a 120-minute flight. So it's almost a 2-hour flight. And then we're also going to be talking about Cosmolido Island. So those are the 3 islands that I am going to be talking about, and the different dive sites at each of them. Between Stove and Mahe, we simply do a 60-minute boat transfer. So those 2 islands are quite easy to combine. And a lot of clients do, if they're going to go out all this way, and especially if you're going to be coming out all the way from the US, a lot of clients do go out. They start with a stove. They will spend 2 or 3 nights diving here. They will then hop over to Cosmolido for a 2 or 3 night stay here, and then finish off at Alphonse Island for another 2 or 3 night stay on Alphonse, and then simply fly back to Mahe to connect with your international flights out. Or alternatively, you then fly from Mahe back to either South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Zambia, Botswana, Namibia, any of those countries, to then do an add-on for your Big 5 safari. Before I continue, I just want to make you aware that with Alphonse and Cosmolido being the 2 very far outer islands, they are closed from April, end of April through to end of October, and that is purely due to obviously monsoon season, high winds, and just, you know, really not the best weather, and it's obviously not easy getting there flying in bad weather. So we're going to start with, I just want to show you again here, just to orientate yourselves sort of exactly where you are. So as we said, we were talking about Mahe being sort of the main island of the Seychelles, of the inner islands that you fly into. You then got Alphonse going sort of down south, and then sort of a little bit more towards the west. Then you've got Cosmolido and a stove, and you're almost right on top of the tip of Madagascar here, Mayotte Islands, and the Comores. Right, let's start with going. So from Mahe down to Alphonse, you're going in a smaller aeroplane, normally either 10 or 12 seaters. Once you're on the island, your bicycles are your form of transport on Alphonse. Certainly with a stove, it's a much smaller island, so you don't need it. But on Alphonse and that, you've got these bicycles to get around in. So Alphonse, as I said, is about 400 kilometers from the main island of Mahe. 1 kilometer, 1 square kilometer. As you can see in the center of the island here, that is the landing strip for the aeroplane. You've got 3 different categories of accommodation here. 22 bungalow beach suites. They are functional, they are right on the beach, so you've got direct access from your little staircase here. You can walk right down onto the beach area. Moving up, you've got your beach suite, slightly bigger, more modern. You've got your own little plunge pool, and again, direct beach access, as you can just see in this picture here. So directly from your pool, you have got your beach access. And then these are brand new. When I was there last year, they were just busy building them. Absolutely exquisite. So these are your 8 sleeper villas. So you've got 4 bedrooms, quite nice for a group or a family to rather book this out. Obviously it sleeps 8, and there's only 2 of these on the island. Again, you've got your own little plunge pool and definitely direct access to the beach. Beautiful units. On Alphonse, and for all three of these islands are owned by the same owner. It is very much based on barefoot luxury. It is the food, the service, and everything else does have that sort of barefoot luxury feel to it. Loads of experiences over and above just the diving. There's a spa. They've got, you can do a little tour to the vegetable garden to see where the guys, actually unbelievable, the food that they do produce from here, being so isolated and being so far from the main island. So they do have quite a big vegetable garden where they produce a lot of their own stuff. The tortoises on the island are gigantic, especially in Alphonse. There's an old man there that has been there for many years, and he's absolutely huge. So those are quite interesting to go and take your bikes and go around the island in search of the tortoises and that. And then obviously with Blue Safaris, they are the company that obviously owns these 3 islands. They do all these signature events. So often at Beach Bar, they'll have a beach event. We'll get to their signature lunch that they do on the flats of the islands. So they really go out their way. Dinners are always in a different venue every night. So they really go out of their way to give you those 5-star experiences on the island. Sorry, just to go back on one, the activity down at the bottom, that is also one of their signature activities that they offer, is where you can actually snorkel with sailfish. So what they do is they put the reels out, and the rods, they don't actually catch the fish, but they do reel them in, giving the snorkelers a chance then to get the sailfish quite close to the boat. We all jump in, and while the sailfish is then around the boat, we are able to actually snorkel with them. Really fun, nice experience to be able to do that. So this is the typical signature experience on Alphonse, is that normally, and it is weather dependent, but normally on your last day of non-diving and that, you go out with the boats, do a snorkel, and we eventually end up on the flats with a beautiful setup barbecue lunch on the beach by the staff. We spend the day there, SUPs, kids can play around on the floating mattresses, fun day out, and then back to the hotel late afternoon. So diving, beautiful. The Seychelles, the inner islands do have nice diving, but I would never sell it to a diver who wants to do an 8 or a 10 dive package. The inner islands are definitely more for somebody who is happy to just be at a resort, need that much needed beach holiday, and you're going to be doing 1 or 2 dives. The outer islands, however, is very, very different. Here, the diving is superb. It is pristine. It is unbelievable diving, and you do want to get that 8 or 10 dives in. So the Seychelles, and the outer islands of the Seychelles, is very well known for the variety of whales that come through. I'm not going to read through all of that. I've got it up on the screen, and obviously this presentation will be available afterwards. So very well known for a big variety of whales, as well as 8 species of your dolphins. Over and above, obviously, everything else that they offer. So as you can see from the little map on the right-hand side, around Alphonse, there you can see is obviously the landing strip of the island. So right around the island, on the atoll here, there is many dives. So you've got 34 odd dive sites just in and around Alphonse. The ones that we've got up on the map here are the most popular dive sites. So there are many others, but these are the most popular ones that get dived on a regular basis. And then just in front of Alphonse, you've got Bigotier Island, and this is also a very popular snorkeling area and that. And even around here, you've got various dive sites. You'll see one here, Shark City. Obviously, also it's called Shark City because that is where we often do see a variety of sharks in that as well. So it's a very varied area to dive, because you've got drop-offs, you've got little coves. It's pristine. It is absolutely pristine diving, beautiful corals, massive diversity of species, fish species, sorry. And as I mentioned, obviously your sharks and that as well. So this Alphonse Island is nice and easy diving. It is suitable for any beginner. You could even come and do your qualification dives here, and you can obviously come and do your open water courses and that here as well. So lots to offer the beginner as well as right through to the advanced diver, where you're going onto the walls along this sort of edge here. You start getting more of your wall diving. And yeah, just absolutely really, really beautiful, beautiful diving. Moving on to a stove, as I've mentioned, a stove is about 1,000 kilometers away from Alphonse. A stove being a little bit bigger than Alphonse, so a stove is 7 kilometers square, whereas Alphonse was 1 kilometer square. A stove is very well known for those of you that have seen the Jacques Cousteau movie where he dives on that wall. This is where that was filmed, on that wall. And that is what a stove is very, very, very well known for. So a stove island is very different to Alphonse. Alphonse has got your beautiful resort, beautiful rooms, lots of activities, whereas a stove is geared for fishermen and divers. And I just want to be clear on the fishing side of things. All 3 islands are catch and release. So there's no fish being caught by fishermen. It is all catch and release. So on a stove, you've only got 6 rooms. They've got this home, if you can call it that, like a courtyard. This is how it was when it was first built many, many, many years ago. The Stove Island was actually owned by an American family in the mid-1900s, and in the early 70s, the husband passed away and the American family moved back to the US, and a stove was then left to 2 or 3 of their staff members, local Seychelles, and Blue Safaris took over a couple of years ago. So as you can imagine, the island, the diving and all of that is absolutely pristine. So the rooms are a little bit more on the basic side in comparison to Alphonse that I've just covered. But still, you've got all the luxuries. The food is, the same as what you get on Alphonse. Superb service. And again, it is all about the diving. A stove diving is unbelievable. It is really, really, really good diving. As I said, the wall, obviously very well known. It's absolutely spectacular. It starts from around about 2 meters and then it drops right down. You've got little swim throughs on around about 15 to 18 meters, and a huge, huge, huge variety of coral. Very pretty, really, it is absolutely mind-blowing. So just to give you an idea, that is obviously a stove here, and then you've got most of your dive sites up and around this point. Again, this is the most popular dive sites. There are others, but this is, the most popular of all of them. Just important with a stove compared to the others, where a stove has only got one channel of, you can actually see it here into this lagoon just over here. So where the others within this Aldabra group of islands have got several channels getting in and out, a stove has only got this one channel. So therefore the water in that is normally very, very clear. Visibility is incredible. So yeah, I can't say anything more. It is just so, it's such a prolific breeding ground for the turtles, all sorts of fish species, and more so the larger groupers, the giant groupers, potato bass, black saddle. As I said, the fishermen, they flock to this island because they want to tick off those boxes of fish that is so big around the Stove Islands and that. So as I said, normally 2 to 3 nights. People come here to dive off this wall area here, and in particular that it's called the wall is what is a Stove is very, very well known for. Moving on to Cosmolido. As I said, Cosmolido is also about 1,000 kilometers away from the main island of Mahe, and Cosmo is 5 kilometers square. Cosmo is beautiful, and I just love the accommodation. You'll see now. They've got these, what they call eco-pods. And one thing about all 3 islands is the whole eco approach to the entire island. Their conservation is unbelievable. The programs that they have going for marine research, marine protection, as well as bird life, the research in that is consistent, so very, very eco-friendly. And in particular, Cosmolido, they've got these eco pods, and I'll show you on the next slide, and they've only got 8 of them, so again maximum of 16 people at a time on the island. So if you look at the picture down at the bottom here, these are containers, shipping containers, and very cleverly they've converted these into these beautiful luxury rooms that's got all the luxuries that you need, with nice beautiful beds, white linen, completely eco-friendly. And come rainy season, when everybody moves off the island, everything goes into these containers and they simply lock them up. It is beautiful. It is really, I just absolutely love this island. Again, the diving is spectacular, really, really, really good diving. With Cosmolido, again, you've got dive sites all over. And as I said, again, once again, this is only the most popular dive sites that are on these maps, not every single dive spot, only the most popular one. On Cosmo, they quite close to the heritage site of Aldabra, which is a World Heritage Site. They've got a very, very diverse ecosystem, and the corals on this island is just unbelievable. Also very well known for their larger groupers, again your potato bass, your black saddle, and of course your bigger fish as well, giant trevally, dog-tooth tuna, and your barracudas, and that are all big schools of fish that come through on the island, and again attracts all your big fly fishermen and that, because it's so profound. The reefs, lots of hard coral on Cosmolido in comparison to the other islands. Massive variety, huge variety of dive sites, and that again from your beginner divers to your advanced divers. Also with Cosmolido, your dolphins are often seen here, and as we mentioned earlier, you've got 8 species of dolphins around the Seychelles Islands. So with Cosmolido, they've got the largest population of green turtles in the Seychelles, 120 different species of coral, as I mentioned before. Again, your hawksbill turtles and your giant trevally. Just from the dive boats point of view, Blue Safaris have got a very big variety of boats. So if there's 2 of you, you're going to be going on a smaller boat. If there's 4 of you, you're going to be going on a slightly bigger boat. So they've got boats to cater for all groups. Their biggest boat takes 6 divers. And as you can see, they've all got obviously little step ladders and that to get down. So very different to the diving that I've covered before on the likes of South Africa and Mozambique, where we use the rubber duck boats where you do a backward roll off the boat. So this is a lot easier. So maximum of 6 on the boat. If your group is bigger, then obviously you start going on to the next boat with 6 people, etc., etc. Most of the time, most people come and do 2 dives a day. And then especially if you're on Alphonse or Cosmolido, where you then do other activities in the afternoon, you can go out with the research staff if you've got a particular interest in that. If you really want to pack in the dives, you can get 3 dives in a day. Or if you really want to pack in the dives, you can go out, do a double tank in the morning, come back for your breakfast, brunch, and then go and do your double tank dive after that. So you're getting your 4 dives in. But with that, we normally recommend then that you dive on nitrox. So all 3 islands are registered PADI facilities. We do have on Mahe and Silhouette Islands, we've got chamber facilities, because obviously you are very, very far out here. So on Mahe and Silhouette, and there is also compulsory insurance that we do take out in case of emergencies and that. And that is the 3 islands in a nutshell, really. It is one of my bucket list. I'm a very big lover for Mozambique diving, and I was very skeptical to go and dive the outer islands of the Seychelles when I first went and explored last year, February, because I have dived several of the inner islands. And although the diving is really good, as I said, you know, I wouldn't sell it as an 8-dive package to the inner islands, but I was absolutely blown away by the 3 outer islands of the Seychelles. The diving is really absolutely spectacular. And as I said, it's nice to combine with then either coming into South Africa or any of the other countries to then make it that extra special, massive African bucket list and do a couple of nights in a big 5 safari. Right, Kerry, Cheryl, I think if there are any questions, we can then go to opening up the questionnaires if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone that's not been here before, what we normally do, because our speakers a lot of the time are you know, presenting from far away, we leave the video off and we have your microphones off during the presentation. But now is your opportunity to talk to Sonia directly. So if you are familiar with Zoom, in the chat box, you can raise your hand, which a couple of you already have, and we'll unmute your microphones. Just make sure that you've enabled the opportunity for you to speak from your end also. If you don't have a microphone or you're shy, you can type your question in the chat box, or you can also type it in the Q&A box and we'll ask Sonia for you. So Corey Maru, I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name. Corey, you're on.
Great. Actually, I'm here with my girlfriend, Adrienne Morgan, as well. And she's got a question,
welcome.
and then I actually have a question as well.
Yes.
Can you just repeat the dates where you can't really go to the outer islands again? What were the time?
Yes, sure. So if you, I'm going to actually put it up here for you. So from end of April through to end of October.
Okay.
And that is just for Estove and Cosmolido. Alphonse remains open, but it is a low season, so they're selling really good specials at the moment for that period on Alphonse Island. in what they're calling it as explore time. So in the week that you might say stay at Alphonse, you might get a day or two in with the diving due to weather conditions, purely because they can't get out with the boats. But there is still so much more else to do on the island, being involved with the marine researchers, etc., etc. So on Alphonse, you can go during that period. It is only for Estove and Cosmolido.
Okay. Great, thank you.
And then, so my question, I know you had highlighted that there were at the dive sites, obviously sharks, and as healthy as the reefs look and the coral looks, I would imagine there would be a lot of shark activity. But I'm curious on kind of this different species of shark that are common to see, as well
Sure.
as the abundance of sharks.
Sure. You know, South Africa and Mozambique is obviously very well known for sharks. Alluvial shoal protea banks are your shark dives, where you're going to come in and you pretty much guaranteed to almost see sharks. Within your 4 or 5 dive package, you will pretty much see sharks. So the diving in the Seychelles is more coral, fish related in that. But there are those certain areas where they are encountering sharks. So it's not like South Africa and Alluvial shoal, where on pretty much all the dive sites you are going to see sharks. In this specific scenario, you will kind of encounter them there. So you do get your typical reef sharks, your black tips, your guitar sharks, your white tips. You'll get your hammerheads in summer. You do experience, there are some tiger shark areas that also come through, especially more on the outer Estove and Cosmolido.
So when you say summer,
your shark variety is not as big as what you have in South Africa or in Mozambique.
got it. And when you say summer, are you talking basically October to April?
Yes, so
Southern
our season is opposite to yours. So summer is from sort of end of October through to end of March.
Got it. Yeah. And then is it multiple operators on multiple islands, or if we were to want to do kind of an extended trip, like a 2 to 3 week kind of stay, like maybe a week on each island, is it kind of a package that you put together with all of it?
Absolutely. So between Deep Blue Adventure, Cheryl and myself, we will put all the logistics together for you. And we would obviously sit with you and you know, depending on whether you're an open water diver, advanced diver, what you would like to do, whether a stove is going to suit you more because you want to pack in some really advanced, lots of advanced dives, and then finish off on Alphonse with only 2 or 3 nights at the resort. So we tailor make every single program for our clients. Obviously, we've got sort of suggested programs out there, but 98% of all our work is tailor-made according to the client's preferences, dive experience, budget, etc., etc. And those 3 islands are all owned by Blue Safaris. It's the same company that owns all 3 islands. So logistics is all in-house, which is quite nice.
And then where are you based out of, Sonia?
I'm based in South Africa.
Okay.
I'm Durban on the east coast of South Africa.
Okay, so if we wanted to combine South Africa then with the Seychelles, that'd be pretty easy for you to figure out.
Absolutely, because from Johannesburg to Mahe Islands, we've got Air Seychelles. So it's a nice, easy connection. You've got a 4-hour flight out to Mahe. Very easy to combine South Africa diving with the Seychelles, absolutely. Okay. And if there's anything, for example, if you want to do, let's say, hammerhead sharks, if you want something specific, just give that through in the brief to Deep Blue Adventures, and then we will tell you that, you know, the best time of the year to then combine all of it to make it work for you.
Perfect. That sounds wonderful.
Awesome. Hopefully we'll see you here soon.
Hopefully so.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this, by the way, too. It's
pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us, Corey. We've been doing this since April. We have different ones every week. We took a little break there, a little bit longer than expected, but we're back now. So we're glad that you joined us. And just kind of an add-on, obviously if we did South Africa or anything else for you with the combo, that's going to be different operators on the ground, but everything's going to be all under one package for you. If you wanted to combine a couple of different countries, and we can do the flights as well. So it makes it very, very easy. One kind of place to contact, and you can contact us in the US on Eastern time. But Sonia is amazing about also jumping on Zoom and everything else, all kinds of hours, as you can see, if you need to iron out details. So she's a trooper.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Corey.
Go. I was gonna say you can take somebody else. I have lots of questions,
Yeah,
and
good idea.
because I'm very excited about this, and I know that we are
Right.
excited to make a trip happen. Before too long.
Mhm.
And I'd love to get back to South Africa, but there's a number of other places we're looking at in Africa, such as Tanzania, Kenya, etc. But that's fine. Like I said, we can chat offline later. Let me step back so other people can be helped.
Okay, well, we welcome your questions. Thank you. And also the presentation will be up on our YouTube in a couple of days if anybody wants to see that again, or you can email us and we can send you the presentation or a link to the Dropbox for the video as well if you want to see it yourself. So please,
What is the email address, just out of curiosity?
info@deepblueadventures.com.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Lona O'Rourke, you're up.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi.
Sonia, thank you so much. It was a beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
So can you just give me kind of a general idea what the average time, for a pretty dedicated diver, how much time they should spend on this trip, visiting the 3 islands, and kind of an approximate cost if you can? I know that's hard, but just a general idea.
Sure, no problem. So if this was my trip and I was coming all the way from the US, I would not spend less than 7 nights on the island diving. And even with that, it is quite rushed in that you're going to spend, let's say, 2 or 3 nights on Alphonse, 2 or 3 nights on a stove, 2 or 3 nights on Cosmolido. So if you had to work it and get your dives in, you do need some time, obviously also because of the flying time. So if you can give yourselves 10 nights, that is the ideal time to be on the islands to really get some really what's the word I'm looking for? Like a very comprehensive dive package. It would be a 10-night dive package. Seychelles is quite an expensive destination. Just your flight from Mahe to Alphonse and the Stove is over $1,000 US. So your packages average starting, if you're going to just do Alphonse Island, they start off from about $7,000 US for a week per person. That is then all your dives and your meals and that included. And obviously, as you go along, your 10 dive package, you are looking at about 10,500 US per person.
10.5. I'm sorry. So 10,500. Can you give me a rough equivalent in US dollars for that?
That's US dollars. That's US dollars.
Oh,
so
okay. So 10,500 US dollars.
Correct.
Okay, for roughly the 10-day trip.
For a 10-day trip, yeah. So Seychelles charge all the accommodation, all of that charges in US dollars. So it's not like South Africa where we obviously got the rand with the exchange rate playing in our favor.
Okay.
But you're looking at about a 10,000 US per person for a 10-night, including your flights from Mahe to the islands, your transfers, all your dives, your cylinder weight belt hire, and then your 3 meals a day.
Right, and all meals and
all meals included.
Okay, and beverages.
beverages are over and
That's
above.
important, you know.
Extremely important. It's vacation.
Absolutely, especially the Seychelles, the Sabrew beer, very good beer. So drinks are extra and on top of that.
Okay.
It's not included. However, they are very open to pre-selling dive package. Listen to me, drink packages. So we can add in, if, for example, if you're saying to us, listen, your budget is $500 US for the week for drinks, we can include that. And then obviously they just work it into the package. So we can work on that. Often we do that with groups, and it does work out a little bit cheaper because the package does include a little bit more and it's prepaid.
Okay. Sonia, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Lisa Kilday, you're up.
Hi, I just am fascinated with the Seychelles, and I was wondering what the coral is like, how pristine is it? And you mentioned whales. Do you see whale sharks, or is there a season for seeing whales?
The corals on the outer island are unbelievable. As I said, I've dived the inner islands. It's pretty, it's nice, it's good. The outer islands are absolutely pristine. As you can see, it is remote. There's only the one company that owns it, so it's not like you've got 10 different hotels on one island with 10 different boat operators. There's only one boat operator on there. So even though they are running a couple of boats, you still don't have 50, 60 divers at a time. So these reefs are pristine. It really is. The corals are unbelievable, especially out on Cosmolido and certainly a Stove as well. Whales, yes, we do. They are pretty much the season from August right through to end of November. You'll start seeing your southern rights and all those whales and that coming through, but pretty much all year round there are different species of whales coming through.
Great.
Pleasure.
Did that answer everything for you, Lisa?
It did. It's a place that, bucket list possibly. I didn't know a lot about whether inner and outer, but that's certainly, it sounds like if you're a serious diver, you want to go outer, the islands you're featuring. And I would assume that there's no liveaboards. It's all, you take a boat every day.
So the same company do own a yacht. There is a boat, but it is very, very weather dependent as well. And it's not really the liveaboards that we are familiar with in Egypt or Maldives and all of that. So it is again more for the leisurely dives where you're going to get 1 or 2 dives in. I would rather recommend that you do the islands because the reefs are closer, and that you then rather go in and out every day on the boats. The yachts around this area are not geared for the liveaboards, as I say, that we are familiar with like the Maldives and the Seychelles, Egypt and that.
Okay.
Again, there are liveaboards that you can get on the inner islands, but if this was me and I'm coming all the way to the Seychelles, I would rather save up and rather go and dive the outer islands as a diver than go on a liveaboard or do the inner islands.
Okay.
Does that answer everything for you, Lisa?
Yeah, it did. It's just interesting to see that the reefs are very close, even though it takes a very long time to get there. The reefs are very close and accessible.
Yeah. One thing to kind of note when Sonia's sharing this information is Sonia owns her own company. It's independent. She doesn't work for Blue Safari lodges or anything like that. So, and Sonia is a very avid diver herself that's been all over Africa, as well as a lot of topside stuff. So when Sonia says, this operator's good, or this operator's not good, or this area is great for diving, like, she's talking as a passionate diver that's completely independent of all of these companies. So she's giving you recommendations that are personal to her, because she can sell multiple, but ones that, you know, she's giving an opinion that is all about from a diver's aspect and honestly, versus, hey, I work for Blue Safaris and I'm trying to tell you you should come here. So kind of bear that in mind when she's making a recommendation. She could also sell the inner islands, but she's actually coming kind of from what she honestly believes in her personal firsthand experience. Stephen, Tricia, ahoy, welcome back. Great to see you again. You're on. Stephen, Tricia, did we lose you? Oh, no. Well, Stephen, Tricia, you're unmuted. Just let us know if you're back on at any point. Lona, you put your hand back up. Did you have another question?
Yeah.
There we go. Here, I can.
Yeah, yes, I did. Sorry. Can you tell me, Sonia, how long these resorts have been open? How long has this operation been in existence?
So Blue Safaris used to own Durush Island. If you actually look on my screen, this little island here.
Okay.
Murray Collins, the owner, he owned Durush. He sold Durush about 4 or 5 years ago. He sold Durush and he bought the islands of Alphonse, Stove and Cosmolido. They all three are pretty much been operated by them in the last 4 years.
Okay, but they were owned previously?
So a Stove has pretty much been abandoned, as I mentioned earlier, by an American family. There hasn't been much activity on a Stove, certainly not from a diving point of view. Cosmolido, obviously, the Blue Safari group, Murray Collins, have been building on them, putting those eco pods and everything in. So their marketing and everything, getting out there, has only been in the last number of years. So it is still very much, you know, sort of new. Certainly Alphonse Resort and Cosmolido is very, very new.
Fabulous. It sounds fabulous. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Lona. Stephen, Tricia, are you there?
Yeah, I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hi, welcome back. Good to see you again.
I got several questions, but I'll do it in order of importance. The lagoon entrances on the various islands, is there a big tidal thing that we could actually go through with the tide and hook into the walls? Is that something that you do?
The tides, they are tidal, but it's not, they're not massive tides where, you know, there's no water and you can't launch the boats and all of that. So the tide obviously do drop, but you can still launch the boats in that. Certainly when I was on Alphonse last year, we came back on the low tide and we actually snorkeled in that lagoon area, and it was spectacular. It was really, really good. So absolutely, often on the way back from dives and that, you know, if the group wants to snorkel and that in the lagoon, absolutely, you can.
Great. I also wanted to know about bringing my gear. Is there a luggage restriction on the internal Seychelles flights?
There is. Good question. So there is a 15 kg from Mahe to Alphonse. Yeah.
Well, there goes Greg.
I know that is the only, because those planes are so small, they are very strict, very strict. There is, you can bribe, you can try everything you want to. It is non-negotiable because it is a small plane and the weight is a problem. So we do recommend that you take maybe regulator mask, and then just get the wetsuit there. But you know, when you're out there in summer, you really do not need a lot of clothes. You really can get away with very little. And if you are an avid diver and you're going there for the diving, yeah, we rather put the dive gear in and throw some pretty dresses out.
That was my other question, was basically what are water temps like in November?
Warm. So
but
anything from 24 degrees Celsius up. So it's warm water diving.
so I could go rash garden bathing suit.
Absolutely. I get cold quite quickly, so I still like to go in like a shorty, or I will dive in a 3 mil, purely because I do get cold after like 30 minutes, and that I do get pretty cold even in the warmer waters. So, but yeah, you certainly can get away with you know, quite lighter wetsuits and that.
Great. Last question, I promise. What about the current? How are the currents in these various channels and on these islands?
You don't really get a lot of currents. Obviously, with the tidal change, you know, in that certain areas where it do open up, you can get a bit of tide there. But then if it is on a tide where then they will go and do other dive sites, and that is not affected by that tide directly by the lagoon area. Certainly I did not experience, and I know from obviously clients that have been there, and that it's not like South Africa and Mozambique where you do these negative entries and you all just have to bomb down on the line to stay with the buoy because the current is so strong. You don't really have those scenarios. You know, everybody gets now off the boat nice and relaxed and follow the dive master down on the buoy line. So no, not the hectic currents and that we're experiencing in South Africa and Mozambique. No.
Thank you very much, Sonia. That's it.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Steve. And I'm going to kind of put Sonia on the spot a little bit here. I'm not making a commit to anything, but I will tell you one thing. Depending on if you were considering, because it is a long way to go, if you were considering something such as an African safari or diving in South Africa as well. I'm not going to say she can do this for Seychelles. We talk about it. But in the past, when I've worked with Sonia and we've done some African safari, stuff like that, and then bounced over to another island where you're facing those restrictions, Sonia's actually set up secure areas to store some of your luggage. So for example, in Tanzania or South Africa or things like that, while you bounce to an island with a small amount of luggage allowance. So if you were looking at traveling a long way and combining it with a safari or something else where you need completely different clothes, it might be a possibility to do that. I'm not going to ask you tonight, Sonia. But
no, it's a good point. It's a good point. I obviously answered that question, you know, sort of based more on the dive gear side of things, but certainly in Mahe on the main island, where the offices are of Blue Safaris and that, absolutely we can store, you know, land cameras, stuff that you're not going to need, and stuff that you're going to need on safari, which, as you say, is completely different clothing and that. Absolutely, we can store stuff in Mahe, which is nice and easy.
There you go. I told you she's magic. Loretta, I did try and unmute you, but it's not allowing me. So Loretta asked, is there security on the islands?
There doesn't really need to be security in the sense that it's very secure. You know, you don't need to lock your rooms and all of that. It is very, very safe. Nobody can come on the islands or leave the islands unless it's the staff boat leaving or the plane landing specifically for that resort. So the security is absolutely amazing on the island. One lodge, you know, as you saw with the islands, there's only 8 rooms, 6 rooms. Alphonse being a little bit bigger. Alphonse is the one with the most staff on the island and that, but really there is no need for security as such. It is very, very, very safe.
Okay, thanks. Loretta, if you have any further questions, please go ahead and type them in the box for us. I'm sorry we couldn't get your microphone going. Randy Lou, you're on.
Hi, Sonia. You just mentioned that the weight limit to the outer islands is 15 kg.
Yes.
Is that total per person? Because my underwater photo gear weighs more than that.
I know. It is per person. You can purchase another seat and then get that extra 15 kgs. That is obviously a possibility. But on your actual bag, they will make you take stuff out to make that bag 15 kgs.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
Sonia, if somebody did buy an extra seat, would they be allowed the approximate weight of the adult that they figure plus the 15K, or would they only be allowed the 15K?
Only allowed the 15K.
Wow.
As far as I know, but that's maybe something we can just check on that as well.
Yeah, I personally, I'd have a little bit of an argument that, hey, give me 100 pounds worth of luggage and I'll sit it in the seat.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and normally it's just the 15 kgs, but let me double check on that. That's actually quite a good question. I've never had that, Cheryl.
All right. Corey, you have your hand back up. Bear with me for just a second. And Randy, did that answer everything for you?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
It tells me I can't get all my photo gear there.
Yeah, it does sound like that. I'm sorry. But if you were, I mean, it's $1,000 for an extra seat, but if you were willing to do that, if you could get, the average body weight, then I don't know how worth it to you or not. Yeah.
I'll come back to you on that, Cheryl. Maybe just make a note of the client's details and then I'll come back to you on that just to double check it with the airline.
Okay. All right. Absolutely. Corey Maru, you're up again.
Yeah, I was gonna just comment on that. I was gonna say that.
Are you unmuted?
I'm unmuted, yes. I was just gonna say that in other destinations where we've actually bought, so we do a bunch of group travel out of the dive shop I'm associated with, and I was gonna say we have had no issue with any airlines ever when we've bought an extra seat with being able to take a large bag and strap it into that seat and call it a passenger if we've paid for that. And so I know, like when we did cold water diving in Vancouver, we had to buy an extra seat, but we took like 200 pounds of luggage and strapped it into the seat. And the airlines is like, you know what, it makes sense. I mean, it's a seat, it's there. But I've had that in multiple locations and multiple destinations where it might not be something that's formally there, but I've had very little trouble making that argument. That makes sense.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I'll have to explore that in the morning. You all got me thinking now, so I'll have to go and check on that.
Yeah, that's how I would expect it to be if you're buying an actual seat. Like they might have a maximum. I don't like some airlines have an average passenger weight when they do weight and balance, and others they literally weigh the passenger. So but I would have thought they would have at least allowed,
the extra weight,
25 pounds or something for that person to be in the seat. But
I'm not two average dive bags is going to be only, ballpark, 70, not even 60, 50 kilograms, 22, 25.
You're
so
right,
basically 60 kilograms would be an average small person.
Yeah, because you're going to have the international flights that you've got to deal with as well. So it's not even going to be probably 100 pounds worth of stuff. It's probably only going to be maybe 50. And you're right. If you've got a group going, it might be worth buying that extra seat if you can get that luggage. I'm just someone that I don't like, hey, maybe I don't want you to get all the way across to the Seychelles and then you're told no. So I like,
So I guess the other question, so I had one other question to maybe check into. As someone who's done group travel before, and again, is associated with a shop that does, 10 or 12 group travel trips per year, and I'm very interested in the thought of bringing a group over there. One of the things we've been able to do often is just say, hey, as a group, this is what we plan to bring for total weight, passenger plus luggage, and then just verify if that's allowed, or be able to arrange to, I'm sure on every single flight that goes out to the outer islands, there is a cargo specific weight that they're planning to attach to that of
Correct.
non-specific passenger cargo. So just cargo to go out to the islands for supplies. And we've been able to look at that and say, hey, you know, we're going to have 8 passengers, and each passenger is going to bring 30 kilograms of dive gear. What can we do to make sure that that's allowed? And we've been able to negotiate that. So that might be something else to check into.
100%. Also with the groups, with the smaller aircrafts and that, if you're taking the aircraft as a group as such, and not 8 or 10 seats versus 12 seats, if you're booking the entire aircraft, we might have a little bit more leeway with the luggage and that, what you're saying.
I'd love to hear, by the way, and I did send an email to that, but I would love to
Awesome.
get some more information on
100%. I'll phone the airline tomorrow morning our time, so you will get it probably before you wake up tomorrow. Yeah, we'll sort that out.
No, that's perfect. And just kind of also, I don't know if you do, you know, what kind of group travel discounts you do, or if that's even a possibility for.
We do,
you know.
and obviously Cheryl can discuss that with you, but there is group discounts, tour leader ratios and all of that. So Cheryl can give all that information through to you.
Excellent. Thank you.
And we did get your email already, Corey, so we're in touch.
Excellent.
Thank you, Corey.
Does anybody else have any questions? This is your last chance if you want to type something in the chat box or the questions and answers box, or pop your hand up real quick. Otherwise, we're gonna let poor Sonia go back to bed.
Go back to bed.
Children and everything else. I'm like, it's 2 a.m. there. Are you sure? And she was like, yeah, I love it. I'll do it. So Corey, you're on again.
It's his girlfriend Adrian. I have 2 questions. One, is it open to COVID right now, or are you all closed, or is the Seychelles closed?
So Seychelles is open. They have been open for the last 2 months already. Last 6, 7 weeks, they've already been open. They've been very, very fortunate that they've had very, very little cases. I mean, as you can imagine, especially on the outer islands and that. So you do just require currently speaking, arriving with a negative COVID test, and then you've got 14 days within that period to then depart.
Got it. Okay. And then is there any special other requirements? Like, do we need to get a visa or anything to go to the Seychelles, being coming from the US?
No visas.
Okay.
No visas.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Pleasure.
So here's kind of an odd question. I'm going to tack one onto that. Just because, again, Seychelles are halfway around the world from us almost. Are the Seychelles officially their own country, or are they part of technically underneath the flag of another nation?
No, they're completely separate.
That's what I thought.
Completely on their own.
Good question. I like that. All right. It looks like everybody else has asked their questions this evening. So it looks like we are going to wrap this up. Sonia, I really appreciate everything. Again, anyone that would like a copy of the presentation, email us at info@deepblueadventures.com, and/or a copy of the video. I know it was a little bit pixelated. It's actually a really beautiful video when you get it directly in your computer. So please let us know that. Any other questions that you may have, if it's a simple question, we've got a chat app on our website. We're available on Facebook most of the time through Messenger, or of course, just shoot us an email at your leisure. And if it is something a bit more in depth, we can jump on Zoom or whatever else with you and have a chat. And depending on the time of day, because I'm not going to make a habit of dragging Sonia out of bed, but we can arrange a conversation one-on-one with Sonia as well. She's amazing about that. So